So the Lakers got a pretty impressive win versus the Timberwolves yesterday at the time of this recording, but I think JJ Redick deserves even more credit than what he's getting. In fact, Hachimura gave us a pretty interesting insight into how they were able to take advantage of a particular player on the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think you guys can imagine who that is, who had some pretty lazy habits in yesterday's game. Also, Anthony Davis had some things to say about JJ Redick as well, but we'll get to that in a little bit later on in the video. But I first want to talk about a video that came out from Rui Hachimura from his post game presser. I want to touch on that video first because I think one of the best ways to win an NBA right now is to gain extra possessions. However you can do that, it typically leads to wins. Some teams use a particular defensive approach. Maybe it's a matchup with a quicker player on a slower player, but the Lakers took a different approach. So here, let's take a listen into what Rui Hachimura had to say about the Lakers game plan against the Timberwolves.
Yeah, Rui, a lot of your offense came early, kind of taking advantage of their coverages, and wondered what you saw there. And then as Anthony Davis kind of kept going and found his rhythm to get to 36, what did you make of his game overall?
Yeah, for me, I was just trying to be more aggressive. I think we talk about Julius Randle. He sometimes he's just standing and stuff. So we talk about we gotta kind of use that. I can be the screener. I can be the corner to kind of attack the rim and stuff.
So that quote right there is very, very telling, and it goes back to this thing. And I want to give JJ Redick his props. I know it's very, very early, so you don't want to overreact or anything like that. But I mean, game one, kind of everything that JJ has said this summer, I think it's coming to fruition. This team really, really, really cares about extra possessions. Everybody has kind of talked about just attention to detail with JJ Redick and how kind of everybody is bought in to the game plan. And Anthony Davis also kind of touched on this, going to read from his post press conference at the end of the game. AD says that I think we were very prepared tonight. Like I said, we executed the game plan to a T. I'm not going to tell you what the game plan was because I know Minnesota will probably be watching this and figure out how to try to beat us next time. But our game plan was elite and we executed and we were able to get the win. He also adds that we have all bought into what he is trying to build. He still has that competitive nature as a coach, his will to win. He's a straight shooter, everything like he was as a player. He's kind of transferred over, which can be tough coming from a player to a coach. But having a great staff around him, Nate, Scotty, St. Jean, Linz, Bob, it's just been, in my eyes, a pretty easy transition for him. I like him a lot. I like what he's trying to build here and what he's doing. Now it's just our job as players to buy into what he's preaching and try to keep this going. Anthony Davis, obviously, speaking very highly of JJ Redick and after the Lakers 110-103 victory against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Kind of going back to what I discussed in kind of my game recap video or thoughts from that game was just, again, the attention to detail. This team, particularly in the first half, you give Minnesota some credit for kind of fighting back and having a little more resistance on the defensive boards. But, JJ Redick had this team flying on the offensive glass. Austin Reeves led this team in offensive rebounds. He had 4 offensive rebounds last night. And then you combine just the extra effort. Anthony Davis was able to get a putback where he was 15 feet away from the play. Little stuff like that, man, kind of really, really shows how bought in this team really is. And there's only room for growth, I think. JJ, I think he's only going to get better with some of the set design and things like that. He's only going to improve as a coach. And then, even defensively, if you will, right? Like, this team is only going to get better when you add guys, when you add a Jared Vanderbilt back to the fold, where you added Christian Wood back to the fold. But like I said, man, the 3 big things, I guess, takeaway wise, I don't think anything was like particularly otherworldly, I guess, if you want to say that, from like an X's and O's standpoint. But one, the attention to detail, very much apparent. I think they did a great job with their scouting report. I do want to reiterate that I don't think this game means that you should be out on Minnesota. I think this game means that, as like from a grand scheme of things, I think this game means that if you face Minnesota in the playoffs, I feel really, really good about that. Whereas you look at the 2 teams they beat, it was Denver and Phoenix, which I still kind of like the matchup for both of those teams for Minnesota. But this is a really, really bad matchup for Minnesota in the Lakers. So I'm not completely out on them as a team, but I mean, going back to the Lakers, man, like I said, just the attention to detail. They had a great game plan for the most part yesterday, particularly defensively. The amount of different like levers and buttons that JJ Redick was pushing to kind of throw off Minnesota, get them to change some calls and things like that, I thought was great. And I think he really, really adjusted nicely kind of on the fly to the runs and things like that Minnesota was going on. Number two, just a competitive spirit, man. They competed. And I think when you compete at a level that they did last night, you're really, really setting yourself up for success. Will that be the way that it looks like for 81 more nights? To be determined. I'm actually willing to bet it's not going to be to that level for 81 more nights during the regular season. But this is, part of the ceiling that this team could tap into. And then number three, it's the possession war again, man. Just the attention to detail, creating more possessions, whether it's hunting a mismatch, kind of like we discussed, whether it's crashing the glass, whether it's limiting turnovers, enforcing turnovers. That's how you have a night where you make 4 threes like they did last night and still find a way to come out with a victory because you created extra possessions. You won the offensive rebounding margin by 3. You only had 7 turnovers, and one of them was the dribble the ball out turnover, if I recall correctly. So, JJ, shout out to you, man. The X's and O's stuff is only going to improve, and I don't think it was bad necessarily. But the way he has his team bought in, the way he has his team competing, the way they're able to execute things like that is the more important stuff. And I'm glad that they didn't go away from certain stuff either. They really attacked Julius Randle, and happy the way this coaching staff performed. But ladies and gentlemen, you guys let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. What do you guys think about the Lakers win on opening night against the Minnesota Timberwolves? And what do you think the Suns game is going to look like on Friday? Make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, follow me on X at Sean_DAVI. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.